welcome to another video. Thank you for joining me. Thank you if you're coming back. Again, thank you so much to all of my subscribers. And if you're new, welcome to the party. Or should I say welcome to the dark side? We have cookies. So today I am going to be doing a bit of a September wrap up. So I'll be honest, I'm not terribly good with the whole stats keeping. I might try that in the new year. But currently I just kind of merrily read along, make my way through many piles of books. I'm very much a mood reader. I do set TBRs. I do have books that I'm looking forward to and I'm wanting to read, either for certain videos and vlogs or because it's a particular time of the year. You know, all of that, new release, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not really stat heavy. So I'm not going to do any sort of stats. I'm just going to kind of go through some of the books that I read, some of the books that I enjoyed. I actually also have some of the books that I did not enjoy so much and I perhaps DNF'd. And I'll be honest, I don't really talk about the books I don't like because I tend to like to just go on and on about the stuff that I do like. It's just who I am. But I think I'll throw that in every now and again. And if I didn't like a book, it just wasn't for me. And it, you know, somebody else could have enjoyed it, but maybe my opinion would be interesting. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But like I said, I've got quite a few books here. I've got quite a few that were also in videos, or I'm teasing a vlog video that is going to be coming out in the next week or so that I'm doing. So I won't go too in depth on those because obviously there'll be a lot of my thoughts in those videos. So let's start off with an author that I was really looking forward to read, and one of her backlist and one of her new titles. So the author I'm talking about is the lovely Miss Eva Reid, and Lady McBeth is the brand new book. So this is her new release. And A Study in Drowning is her back title book, which I have had on my shelves for quite a while and I've been dying to get to. And I finally did, and I'm so happy. So let's start with this one. So Study in Drowning, this is probably one of the most well-known of her books. I think a lot of people have read it, particularly if you like kind of that dark academia, slightly more gothic fairy tale style feeling to a book, which this really is. So you've got your main character. She is studying in a university that, well, she wants to study literature, but in this world, women are not allowed to study literature. So she decides to enroll in the next best thing, which is the architecture course. And all her life, she's been obsessed with this particular book by a very famous author in this world of theirs. This is set sort of in an alternate world, let's call it. And it's a fairy tale story, essentially, of a fairy king and a woman, and she has to conquer the fairy king. And she's been obsessed with the story all her life. And so this author has died, and his estate has basically said, we want someone to come in and sort of redesign his house because it's a kind of falling down. So where he lives in this part of the world, the reason it's called A Study in Drowning, it's like the sea and the water and the ocean is encroaching on the land, and the whole atmosphere of this book I think is perfect for the time of year, especially if you're in a country like I am in the UK where it rains a lot and it's dark, because you've kind of got that rain and that dark atmosphere, and parts of this house are flooded or literally underwater, and it's a very cold kind of soggy, it's perfect atmosphere for this time of year. But anyway, so they run this contest. This is not a spoiler, this is literally the premise of the book. She wins and she goes off to this estate to redesign this house. But while she's there, she also meets up with one of the literature students, a boy who is actually a literature student, and he says he's there to kind of research this writer's life and really research the origins of this book that he wrote. And the story kind of goes from there. There's a really sweet love story between the two of them. It very much has that gothic fairy tale vibe, which I adore. And you'll realize that because a lot of these books and a lot of the books that I have and own and want to read and have read and love are those ones that kind of hark back to your fairy tales, particularly with a gothic spin, and I also like sort of the modern take on fairy tales. And this very much has that. It obviously has that mystery of the fae. It has the mystery of this writer. You kind of, there's twists and turns in here. You uncover things, but it's all about that beautiful atmosphere. The love story is very sweet, and it also has some real heart to it, which I love. And the writing, Eva Reid's writing, I really get on with. I think it's beautiful. So then I moved on to Lady McBeth. So how gorgeous is this. So this is the Waterstones exclusive edition. I think it's signed as well. So Lady Macbeth is, it's signed in gold, so cool. Lady Macbeth is obviously based on the play by Macbeth by Shakespeare, but it's almost basically like a retelling or a reimagining of particularly Lady Macbeth's story. And she in this book is a kind of a young noblewoman. She basically gets sold off by her father to Macbeth to marry him because, you know, there's an understanding between their two kingdoms, and that's sort of how things were done back in the day. And she arrives at this castle quite scared, quite naive, although she has this kind of legend about her. What they say in her kingdom is that if a man, and this only happens to men, looks in her eyes, she can bespell them. So basically, she's kind of deemed a bit of a witch. So she has to wear this veil so that no man can look her directly in the eye. So she sort of has this power. And that, I think, is a really interesting spin on the story. And then you kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but you kind of then follow her story through with her life with Macbeth. It hits certain points of the original story, but deviates and tells its own story, which I really loved. There's also a dragon in here, a dragon shifter. It's great. I love it. I really liked it. I've seen so many mixed opinions. Some people didn't like it. Some people did. I enjoyed myself. I thought it was great. I loved the way that Ava Reid, like I said, I love the way she writes. I love the way she told the story. I liked Lady Macbeth. I get it. She was a little bit frustrating in times. She almost was a little bit too naive, but then, you know, she probably would be as a sort of 18-year-old noblewoman in this time. But I liked this retelling. I thought it was very atmospheric. The witches in this, oh, it's great. It's great. I won't say anything, but I loved the take on it. I really did. I thought it was fantastic. And, you know, good for her in the end. And I just, I enjoyed it. I really liked it. So, you know, everybody has their own opinion. Then let's talk about some of these series that I am in the middle of and that I'm enjoying. So my number one, I have fallen in love. I cannot tell you how much the series has wormed its way into my heart. I cannot wait to get to the third book. I cannot wait to get to the spin-off series. And that is the Kingdom of the Wicked series. So Kingdom of the Wicked and Kingdom of the Cursed, which I've read. I've got Kingdom of the Feared queued up to go. And I don't know why I didn't read this sooner, because this is not a new series, but it is just my favorite. So the premise of the series is the seven princes of hell. First of all, anything with hell in it I love. Anything with sort of the devil. You can blame Lucifer, the TV series, and sort of the Sandman comics for that. But you've got the seven princes of hell, and you've got Amelia, this witch. In the beginning, in the very first book, Kingdom of the Wicked, her sister is killed, and essentially Amelia, her driving force is avenging her sister's death. And in order to find out what happened to her sister, now, again, sorry, I should have probably said this in the beginning. Amelia and her sister were witches. Her family is witches. But they're not out, you know. Amongst themselves, they know they're witches, but, like, the community doesn't know they're witches. They also, side note, they're Italian. This is set in Sicily. They have a restaurant, and, like, Amelia loves cooking. The descriptions of the food, in particularly this first book, I would suggest a good Italian meal while you're reading this, because I just cannelloni. I could taste it all. I'm half Italian, and just, oh, it made me so hungry, and it's just fabulous. So, you know, if you like that. But anyway, back to the story. So they're witches, and, you know, her sister gets killed, but also there's other witches that are being killed. Their hearts are being ripped out. And Amelia's trying to figure out, okay, what's happening? I need to know. And she's really driven by this kind of vengeance to find out what happened to her sister. In order to do this, she summons a prince of hell, and she makes a deal with him, and it's Prince Wrath. And the story really goes from there. This is a dark romantasy series. It is also, I think, a wonderful adventure. The descriptions that Carrie Maniscalco puts in these books of the clothes, especially in the second book, when you when you get to hell, and the kingdom, and like the way everything looks, it's exquisite. I can picture it in my head all the way through. I've fallen in love with the series. I've fallen in love with Amelia and Wrath and all the other princes of hell as well. I would very happily sell my soul to Prince Wrath. It's a gorgeous love story. It's very slow burn, which I love. The first book is not, there's not a lot of, if you're looking for super spicy, it isn't. There's definitely more spice in the third one. I hear the fourth one's even more spicy. But I love this. I love the fact that we're really focusing on the story and the characterization and building this world and building up the storyline and sort of the mystery of what happened to her sister and all the kind of court politics that are happening in the underworld. It's so very good. And I've realized this is very much how I like my romantasy, or just like romance books, because we're going to get onto something later about a video I did about dark romance. If there's no great storyline and no great focus on the characterization, you lose me. I don't care how spicy it is. It doesn't, whatever, I don't care. I want that focus, and I think Harry Maniscalco has done an incredible job at writing the series. I cannot highly recommend it enough. And I'll be doing a whole video on this one. And then, like I said, the spin-off, which is Throne of the Fallen, which is Prince Envy's story, and I cannot wait. And then the other series that I have completely lost my heart to is this one. This is Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Miro. Sorry, I was going to say Miro. J.M. Miro. Again, this is one I have not heard a lot of people talk about. And why? It's so good. It's so good. I feel like this series is, it's like, oh god, it's like, again, it's set in sort of Victorian London, so you've got that whole atmosphere on it. If you like House in the Cerulean Sea, which is again another book that I read, it has this thing about these magical children, but it has a really dark twist on it. So it's really hard. I mean, this is big, and the second book is even bigger than this one. But I flew through it. I loved it. You have it spans different countries, different continents. And I think that the basis of the story is you have a institute in Edinburgh that has been gathering and looking after all these magical children, or children that have been displaying certain abilities. They all have different abilities, and as you go through the book, it kind of describes the different classes of abilities. So also it almost has like a Harry Potter feel to it in that sense, but it's very much, and I would say this is very much an adult book in the sense that it can be very violent. There's some really like disturbing scenes, but it also has the most incredible found family element, because as you can imagine, these magical children are basically outcasts, because in this world, that's not, you know, it's not a magical world as such. We're in normal sort of Victorian, you know, superstitious London most of the time, or not really London, Europe. But we also go to China, which is cool. We go to America, which is cool. So there's a real international cast of characters. But anyway, you have these kids who are very much outcasts. You know, they don't understand their abilities. So there's a wonderful kind of found family element. And in the beginning, you have these two people that are tasked by this institute to go out and find these children. And the main character, this woman, I think her name is Alice, if I'm not mistaken, she is so kick-ass. She's so cool. There are such strong female characters in this, which I love. And sometimes with this epic fantasy, you don't get that. But in this book, you get such wonderful, strong female characters, and the children, their characters in this. It's just, like I said, it's so... I'm going to do an entire video when I've read the second book as well and talk about this a bit more in depth. And it's, again, also it's hard to say things without thinking, oh, am I spoiling it? But I might do that and then put like some spoiler warnings in that. But all I can say is that I found this incredible, and I'm really surprised that not too many people are talking about it. Then I'm just going to tease this really quickly because, like I said, I'm in the process of editing an entire video, and that's these books here. So we've got Gothicana by Rue Nix, we've got Grimstone by Sophie Lark, and we've got The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. I am doing a dark romantasy video reading vlog, and I'm just busy editing it, and it'll come out in the next few days, hopefully by the weekend. And it is what it says on the tin. It's basically me reading these three different types of dark romantasy, because that is what I love. Actually, I would say Grimstone isn't really fantasy, it's more just dark romance. And you'll get my thoughts on what I thought of these. I will say, spoiler alert, Foxglove King, I've already bought the second book, and I'm obsessed with Gothicana. anyway, so that's that. And then also, I'm not going to talk too much about these because they were in vlogs as well, so you can go back and look at my reading vlogs. But I also read this month Lucy Undying by Kirsten White. This is a 4-star read. Absolutely loved it. It's Haley. It's not Haley. What did I call her? Haley Westenra. Lucy Westenra. It's a story from Dracula. It's basically Kirsten White gave her own story, and it's wonderfully sapphic as well. So that's fun. And speaking about wonderfully sapphic, Delilah S. Dawson. So this book is not sapphic. Bloom was. But this is Delilah S. Dawson's brand new book, Guillotine. This is kind of a modern take on The Peasants Are Revolting, French Revolution, thriller, horror, slasher. Absolutely loved it. Hugely recommend. Great for the season. Then again, a book I've lost my heart to, and I mentioned this, I'm basically going to mention it in every video going forward for whatever I do, is Tales of a Monstrous Heart by Jennifer Delaney. An adult fairy tale, a beautiful love story, a beautiful fantasy world. Just incredible, but I talk about that so much. And then again, lost my heart, Immortal Dark by Tegest Germer. 5-star read, was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I was not disappointed. This is dark vampire. This is dark romance. There are some wonderful dark themes in here. Dark academia, new spin and a new take on vampires, people of color. It is just fantastic. Hugely recommend that if you haven't gotten to it yet, because I've seen it on a lot of people's most anticipated lists. I'm talking a lot, we need to lubricate, but I would highly recommend reading it if it's on your list. Then I was talking about Gothic fairy tales, Tale of the Last Flower Bride by Roxana Chochki. This is a 5+++ star read for me. I absolutely adored this. Again, I think it's beautiful for the season if you want something that is eerie, that is fairy tale like. It's set in the modern world, but basically the premise is you've got the bridegroom. We never find out what his name is, but he marries Indigo. And Indigo is this incredibly fabulous heiress who has this kind of aura and mystique about her, and she's very fairy tale like, and all the descriptions, the food, the house she lives in, the clothes, everything about her, it's almost like he's married a fairy princess, but there's something niggling at him, there's something not quite right, and you basically see their story from his perspective. Then you see Indigo and her best friend Azur when they were children, and how they moved through this incredible castle-like house that her family has, how they very much believed that they were changelings and they were destined to go to the other world, to go to the fairy realm, and you find out what happened to them and their story. And it is kind of almost in a way a bit of a murder mystery, but that takes kind of a backseat to just the beautiful writing, this kind of complicated romance, and just really finding out who Indigo is and what's going on, and this incredibly imagined dark fairy tale universe that she lives in. I think it's outstanding, and I have the Gilded Wolves over there now queued up to read because I love that so much. Then again, another kind of Gothic-y style fairy tale that I would say is, well, this one's not really fairy tale, this is more dark academic. So this is Amy Goldsmith's Our Wicked Histories, but this is perfect if you're looking for something set at Halloween, because there is a Halloween party in here, and it's about a bunch of students. Something happened at their fancy prep school, and one of them has now invited this kind of group to her beautiful crumbling mansion in Ireland that has this lake in front of it. It's October, they're going to have a Halloween party there. Apparently all sorts of things happened at this ball at their school, so there's lots of ill feelings within the group, so you're kind of figuring out what happened. There's also a lot of legend and mystery around this area about almost like a woman in the lake calling people to her death. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's eerie. It kept me guessing until the end, like twists and turns. The story slowly unfolds as to kind of what happened in the past. The atmosphere is divine. It is perfect for this time of year, and it's perfect for a Halloween read, and it's also great if you like dark academia and, complicated, like Gossip Girl style rich kid drama. It's great. Then the next one. Oh, I loved Mayfly. CJ Leeds, Mayfly. Again, I've seen some divergent opinions on this. I adored it. So essentially, a female serial killer who is also the fairy tale princess at Disney from the Frozen film. And this is a dark romance, I would say. It actually kind of broke my heart in the end, I'll be honest. But you have this main character who she works at Disney. She works as they don't ever say it on the page, but there is a thing about let it go, which I love. But she is the Disney, the Frozen princess, essentially. And she loves her job. She loves it. But but you kind of get her backstory where she's been living with her grandmother, who was a very celebrated actress, Hollywood actress. And you kind of figure out what happened there. And you also figure out that she likes killing people. And she has some really dark thoughts. And she also likes reading. And she kind of almost models her thoughts and her personality on like the books she's reading, which is really fun. And then this man kind of enters her life who perhaps feeds her dark desires. And we go from there. It is fantastic. I love this. Then from the dark to the wonderfully light and sweet and cozy In the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace. I love this. It is very much a kind of cozy mystery sort of thing, and it's not really my go-to genre, but every now and again I love this. And I love, if you love practical magic and Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Charmed, which all of the things that I love, this is perfect. So you have two aunts, and actually there's an uncle as well. They own a guest house in this town, and again, they're not out witches, but they are witches, and their niece is staying with them as well because her husband has passed away and she's essentially grieving. But and there's a crow that's called Dog. It's great. There's a black cat. There's also this talk about the women, the women in this family in the town, like they walk past and things happen and, what's going on. The descriptions of the town is brilliant. It's set in autumn. So you've got them talking about like pumpkin spice and apples and the crisp air. It's fabulous. And anyway, so the main crux of this is that a guest dies in the guest house, and then they're trying to investigate who done it. But the aunts are being accused of doing it, and the niece has kind of gone away to figure out what actually happened and what's going on in this town. And it's fabulous. It's just fabulous. Then we have the Mary Shelley Club. This is by Goldie Moldavsky. I said that wrong. I'm so sorry, but I love this. So this is this is Gossip Girl meets I Know What You Did Last Summer. And it's this fancy prep school in New York. And these kids, this group of kids that are all, again, very breakfast clubby. They're all like the ones like very popular. The other one is not. They're all very different. So within the normal social structure of their school, they don't really hang out together. But they formed this Mary Shelley Club. And it's basically based on their love of horror and horror films. And what they do in this club is they watch films. But they also do these fear tests where they pick a victim. And then they all get together to do something, usually based on sort of a horror movie, to scare the crap out of the person. And the idea is to get the person to scream and be really scared. So there's that element, which I love. But then there's also another element of this new girl that has just moved to the school. Something happened to her. She was a victim of a home invasion. And there's also an element of that kind of comes into it. I love the twist on the end of this. I thought it was great. I loved all the references to the horror films. And of course, Mary Shelley Club is, the Frankenstein reference. Like I said, Gossip Girl meets I Know What You Did Last Summer. I thought it was fantastic. I really, really had a fun time. It was just a fun read. And again, I think for this time of year, also Halloween is on that one. I believe Halloween is in that one. But yeah, there's loads of I think there is Halloween in here. And just loads of horror movie talk, so it's brilliant. Then, Where He Can't Find You, Darcy Coates. Loved it. This was my first Darcy Coates experience, and this one is more of kind of like a whodunit mystery. So you've got this town, and you've got this legend in the town called the Stitcher, and everybody thinks they know who this person is. People keep getting taken, and there's like all these rhymes and things about it. Don't go out at night. Don't be by yourself. The Stitcher will come and take you. And what he does, and content warning, this is quite gruesome, is he kills these people, and then he takes bits of them and he stitches them back together with this very distinctive red thread. So very Frankensteinish. And you have this group of kids who have, been talking about these legends of the Stitcher. And then one of the girls, her sister, goes missing, and she's like, the Stitcher's taking my sister. And you kind of follow them trying to figure out what this is. This guy that everybody thinks in the town is the Stitcher, but law enforcement is doing nothing about it. It's wonderfully creepy. It's wonderfully eerie. I really, really loved it. I loved Darcy Coates' writing. I am 100% going to read. I've got another one of her books, but I'm going to read more. So, and also through this book, you have the rules. So this is rule number 2, these different rules of the Stitcher. Clocks wind back. Oh, also in this town, like, it's weird. Like, every time he goes to take someone, the technology fails. The technology is not reliable, which is really interesting, which I really liked. And like I said, you've got these kind of almost comic style stories of the rules and the story of the Stitcher throughout it. Don't walk home alone. Don't stay out late. Don't close your eyes. The Stitcher will remake you. It's very, very good. Again, perfect for the season if you want something to scare you. Then something if you don't want to be scared, but if you want to have your heart wrenched out of your chest, even when your heart is dead and cold and black like mine. Yeah. The House in the Ceili Sea by TJ Klune. Now, I'm sure I'm not telling anyone anything new. I think most people have read this, have loved this. I haven't. I kind of thought it was a little too sweet for me, but it really isn't. It actually has a bit of a darker edge to it, which I liked, especially the discussion around, you know, so the premise, I should say, that of if you don't know, is you have this it's set in the UK, and you have this kind of ministry or government agency that oversees, again, these magical children. So you've got kids that have certain abilities, and again, very unique, very different, all of them. And the main the main character here, Linus, he works for this agency, and he's like basically like a social worker, a caseworker, and he goes and he assesses these places, these like orphanages they send these magical children to, because the rest of the population is kind of scared of them. And the discussion on the prejudice and we are scared of something just because it's other and it's different, I think is excellent. And again, one of the few books that made me shed a black, dark tear, possibly. But in all seriousness, it really is beautiful. And Linus, the main character Linus, he lives a very quiet, sheltered life, and he's sent to this house in the Ceili Sea where they've put like these classified 4 children that are like the worst of the worst, right? Everybody's terrified of them. One of them is supposed to be Satan's son, Lucifer's son, so Lucy, as in Lucifer. He's supposed to, so if you've watched Good Omens, and if you've read and watched Good Omens, and if you like Good Omens, I think you'll love this, and vice versa. But you know, he's the kind of the devil incarnate. He's going to bring about the end of the world. You know, they're so scared of this sort of 8-year-old kid. I think he's 8. He's little. But that discussion around, you know, this otherness and the way people react, and then also when Linus goes to this, he very much, he does his job. He's very by the book. I do the rules, I do the job, I get in, I get out. And he doesn't let his emotions get affected. And then when he goes here, he does. There's also a very sweet love story between Linus and the guy that runs this orphanage, the head of this orphanage. That is very adorable. And I think if this doesn't worm its way into your heart, like, I don't know what will. And like I said, if you like this, if you like sort of the magical child element, but you want to take it dark, that's where I say Ordinary Monsters goes. And I love the juxtaposition of the two. And then again, like I said, if you like Good Omens, I think I've got to stop talking. That's it. There were probably more books, something that I'm missing, who knows, but those are some of the highlights. I did say I would go through some of the ones I didn't like. I might save that for later. This is a very long video. I might do that on another one, just maybe like books of the year that I didn't enjoy, but I really just like talking about books that I like. So that's me for now. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought, and if you have any recommendations. Thank you for watching. I will see you all very soon. Bye.